Hi there, and welcome to Fantasy for the Ages, the show where a father and son sit down and talk about fantasy books. I'm the son of that equation, Zach.
And I'm the father, Jim. As always, great to have you with us here today as we, holy cow, finish the fifth book of the Wheel of Time today.
Woo!
Woo! We're going to have some fun with that. Before we get into content, Zach, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty all right. A couple of big things going on, including we've got a second season of the Wheel of Time dropping like today, yesterday, whole thing. I'm sure we're going to talk about that more. It's also my birthday tomorrow, so that's fun. Happy birthday to me. We've got Wheel of Time. And in other news, it's also the start of flu season, like officially. We started at the pediatric clinic that I work at, started getting flu vaccines today, which means I had over 60 appointments.
Oh my.
It was a lot, but it was good. And I only almost got vomited on once. So I did not take the day off. I know you did, which again, I'm sure we'll talk about more. How are you doing, Dad?
I am doing great because, as you said, it was a vacation day for me. Whoop, whoop. I decided about a couple weeks ago to just take the day off so that I could stay up late last night watching the first 3 episodes of season 2 of The Wheel of Time.
Mm-hmm.
Then they went ahead and changed the time drop, so it actually, in my time zone, came out at 5 p.m. So I still waited till Mom got home, and then we watched all 3 together. We'll talk about that more in just a moment. But it just gave me a free day today without being tired. I got up at a nice early time and did stuff. Including mostly a lot of YouTube channel stuff, made some more content, put out a short on my thoughts on those first 3 episodes, stuff like that.
Funny thing, I don't follow us on TikTok because I don't follow people. I ghost with my social medias. But I saw a TikTok you made about the Wheel of Time like 5 minutes ago.
How about that? We are on TikTok now, people. It's the same stuff that goes on for YouTube Shorts. And now I just download them and upload them to TikTok. But they're doing pretty well there, too. Yeah, fun stuff. So TikTok is recommending your channel's content to you.
I'm in the right demographic to be shown stuff like that from TikTok. It makes sense. I was just also like, that's my dad. Okay.
Oh, yep, there it is. All right, so a few things, to talk about before we talk about the chapters. One is I'm a little distracted here. I am watching Discord because we have a new patron now.
We do!
Yes, and Tall Dark is trying to get into the live recording to be with us here while we're doing stuff. I saw Tall Dark post in the live recording chat channel, but trying to figure out how to get into the patron live recording.
It is hiding it just a little bit. Not really, but like every now and then I gotta look. Where am I clicking on this again?
So, hey there, we have Tall Dark there. So you are just in time. Hopefully you can hear. We were just shouting you out. Thank you for being our newest Patreon supporter. I already did shout Tall Dark out once before in one of my shorter Just Me episodes, but I definitely wanted to do it here when it was you and I together.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And if any of the rest of you want to find out how you can become a Patreon supporter and join our group and even attend live recordings like this, just find Fantasy for the Ages on patreon.com. While you're thinking about things like that, obligatory remind you, if you enjoy this today, like the episode, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Feel free to leave comments, and all the ways to connect with us on social media and Discord and such are listed in the show notes. So people have been finding us on YouTube, Zach. The numbers keep climbing. Again, we're almost 30 subscribers higher than the last time you and I recorded.
Puts us at about what now? About?
We're almost 480. We're approaching 500 subscribers now.
And that's huge. It's like 100 times more than I thought we'd ever have.
I guess, our vibe isn't too boring, too bad. We might have something to say and be slightly entertaining. So,
I had one of the funniest interactions I've had at work the other day because
okay.
I had a couple coworkers that went out to lunch together and they came back and they said, "So we listened to some of your podcast in the car." And it was a funny little interaction where they went, "Yeah, you guys, you and your dad, you sound like the same." Like we were going like, I think that's Zach's dad talking now. No, that's Zach talk, because we have the same way of talking, even if we
Correct.
don't sound exactly the same.
Our voices have a different timbre, but absolutely we use the same style
Structure and
pattern.
cadence.
I mean, you say more. I know that because I edit, but
It's a stylistic choice.
And many of the turns of phrases, we have the same ones, the same general rhythm. However, I don't, use those naughty words that you throw in once in a while. That's a key way to tell the difference.
That you called them naughty words is just like it feels wrong on the tongue to say. Worse than actually swearing.
Hey, come on. We were together with family a few weeks back. We played Fact or Crap. And the first time I played that game, I couldn't say crap because that word was too troubling for me. So I'm growing.
What? I'm proud of you. You could say grown, you could say devolved, fading. I don't know.
Wearing down.
Started into the descent of hedonism, I don't know.
Capitulating.
Anyway, we're getting very sidetracked.
Okay, a couple other things then. Before we talk about the actual chapters, we do need to talk about Wheel of Time Season 2. So, yes, I watched all 3 of the episodes. Did you watch them yet?
I watched the first, and I was watching with Rach. We got about 5 minutes in, and she went, "I think I need to rewatch some of Season 1 first." And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. So I finished watching the first episode, but we're going to, over the weekend, go back, watch at least some, if not all of Season 1, and then watch the new episodes.
Okay.
So I've only seen the first one.
So we won't talk in depth, and we'll need to do a different episode covering content from the show at some point. But these episodes were so nicely done. I give them 2 big thumbs up. Not that I, again, agree with everything that they've changed, but the adaptation choices this time pretty much makes sense to me. I understand what they're doing. They're not like doing things that totally violate the purpose or the intent of the story. I mean, anyone ought to be able to watch them now and just be entertained. I thought they were really well done, and the quality, big step up from last season. I
won't say it's perfect. What I've seen so far, there were even a couple of line deliveries, choices, the way it was edited to it, that I was just like, that felt a little forced. But overall, it's enjoyable. It's a good start to Season 2. And I personally want to go minor spoilery, because I'm not going to go spoil huge, and it's things we've read in the books at this point in our podcast.
Okay.
Elias, not necessarily what I pictured when I read things. I like it better.
And they've used him in place of a different character, and that works. That totally works.
And it honestly makes the choice of how they chose to do that entire kind of arc make so much more sense.
Yep. So, fun stuff. It works. We'll see where things continue to go, but I am very encouraged at the start of Season 2 of The Wheel of Time. I didn't ask what you're drinking today, Zach.
So I got some iced tea the other day, and so I mixed it with some Deep Eddy lemon vodka. Figured it would be a good thing. This is about the only glass I'll get to do, though, because I finished the vodka.
And you have no other alcohol in the house?
No, it's just the only lemon-flavored vodka I have in the house.
Gotcha. I'm still staying off alcohol right now as I'm shedding some weight and trying to get my mouth back in order. It's getting better, I think. So I have pineapple juice today. It was getting better,
and then you drank a couple of things, and it went back downhill.
It's been 2 weeks now, though, without anything, and I think it's improving. But pineapple juice, nothing wrong with that. I love pineapple juice.
Just don't drink too much of it, or else it'll make your mouth all fuzzy.
Well, that'll feel like my mouth has felt anyways. So
Exactly. So it's not going to help.
You reading anything new these days, Zach?
I am. I actually have to pull up my notes here because I think I've read through a couple of things since we last talked. I had finished Babylon's Ashes, right?
Uh-huh.
Or was I reading it? Since then, I've read through Golden Sun, the second book in the Red Rising trilogy. I also finished Deadbeat, the next Dresden Files book.
Nice.
And a completely non-genre book that I read on rotation. It's not sci-fi fantasy. It fits more into a real world and romance book. You would hate it. It was okay.
I hate it. Yeah.
But since then, I've started Persepolis Rising.
Nice.
And I've started the book that I think I'll probably end up passing you at some point. Night Angel Nemesis. Because I don't think you finished it.
No, I'm like 67%. I got about a third of the book
hard
to go.
For you.
It's just, I don't know what it is. I have to admit, Brent Week's next series that I have on my TBR, Lightbringer, I've lowered it on the series now, to be honest. Because why is... Yeah.
I picked this up.
If I'm not getting sucked in like I want to, that says maybe the way he's writing isn't hitting like I should. When I do read it, I enjoy it, but I don't know. It's just
I've heard a number of people,
to read.
A number of the reviews of Night Angel Nemesis. It makes certain stylistic choices that feel like if they had gone a little bit less, maybe they would have been more successful. I don't know how much I agree with that yet. I'm not finished with it, but there is a certain element of going, no, I could see it being like, he made a choice. It's not necessarily how he usually writes. It's okay. I am enjoying it so far, though.
Okay. For me, I'm still reading Night Angel Nemesis, still reading House of Chains, book 4 from Malazan Book of the Fallen. But then right beneath me, I'm on book 3 of a trilogy, United States of Apocalypse. Mark Tufo and Armand Rosamilia. It's just apocalyptic literature. There's no zombies. This has to do more with a terrorist attack on the United States that basically takes down the United States. And how it happens. But Mark Tufo brings in some of his favorite characters from other series and puts them in this trilogy. And then Armand Rosamilia, he writes other zombie apocalypse stuff like Tufo does. He's taken some of those characters and brought them over to this. And they've created this new trilogy with familiar characters. And it's very entertaining. It's really well done. Yeah. But a totally different setting. You know, it's not, there's no zombies, okay? But I'm definitely enjoying it. All right, that's it. Let's talk about the Wheel of Time.
Let's do it.
The big finish of the Fires of Heaven starts with chapter 55 called The Threads Burn. We pick up...
Ominous.
It is, isn't it? We pick up with Rand on the chase after Rahvin. They're still in the palace in Camelin. And clearly Rand's been at this for a while as we re-enter the story. Rahvin just manages to stay ahead of Rand, every now and then tossing back attacks with the one power and then skipping away, and Rand can never quite get his hands on it. And collateral damage is happening everywhere.
Like
damage to the palace,
or people, or both.
Both. He's finding bodies. It's clear Rahvin doesn't value his people that much. Guardsmen.
Is Rand hitting random people?
Rand is not. Rand has one target in mind, and that's all he's going for. In fact, we see him come upon just palace servants who are like, and he's like, I'm not going to hurt you. Move along, move along.
So at least as far as we know, he cares to not hit random people, even in his blind rage.
Yeah, it's down in his core, because honestly, mentally, Rand is not in a very good space at this point. We see him having two inner monologues going on. One voice thinking with regret of his past, and the other talking about Ilyena and his regrets and how horrible it was to go mad. And what's going on here, Zach?
he might be going a little mad and having a Rand inner monologue and a LTT inner monologue, and you shouldn't have two inner monologues. Some people don't even have one. I don't get those people. They don't make sense to me, and I don't understand how you can enjoy reading and be someone who doesn't have an inner monologue. But I know those people exist.
Okay, Rand isn't even having this, though, from the perspective of having his own inner monologue and then this other voice. It's like he has no identity at this point. Both of these and none of these is him, and it's very
He's
screwed
a little fluid.
up. Yeah,
a little wibbly wobbly.
The real scary thing is when these inner monologues kind of sync up at the conclusion of this inner monologue paragraph, where they both come to the point and agreement that he deserves to die for all the harm he's caused so many other people.
He
Ouch.
being, let's X the pronoun out of here. Who deserves to die?
Rand deserves to die.
Yeah, that's
and
a little dark.
Theron deserves to die. This is what they're both saying.
Dark.
Yeah. Wow. So Rand is clearly losing touch with his own identity in the midst of the stress, the trauma of this situation. Remember, last chapter, he just saw 3 people very important to him.
Yeah, I was like, I'm careful how you phrase that, because he saw 2 people he cares about and one who's important to his goals.
I was intentional with those words. 3 people who were very important to him, but he saw them obliterated with lightning and then went running after Rahvin. He has not had time to process what happened. He's in trauma. And at the same time, as he's just trying to get to Rahvin now, he's tapping into abilities, uses of the one power that he has no knowledge of how he can do these things. He's just doing it. And he sees, we see him taking out obstacles and challenges and even bad guys, Trollocs, Murdril and stuff, just totally obliterating things. Nothing gets in his way.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a part of his mind going, I have no idea how I'm doing this.
He just knows it needs to be done, and it is.
We come upon a point where Rand just barely ducks out of the way of Rahvin flinging a band of balefire at him. Now, he realizes when that happens that apparently something Moraine had said must no longer hold true. What is he referencing?
Have changed a little bit. Moraine said, hey, Rand, don't use balefire. Balefire is so bad and dangerous just as a thing. The Forsaken don't use it. This is something that was forsworn in the Age of Power, the War of Power, because it was doing significant damage to the pattern itself. Like, it just was making the entire reality crumble. And it was like, okay, maybe we don't want to mess with this. But Rahvin's just thrown it. So, Rand, I think it's time to take the gloves off, and reality can sort itself out later.
We have seen Rand use balefire before. He specifically did it at the Darkhounds that had come at and attacked back in the Waste. So we know he's capable of it. So yeah, Rahvin does it. Fine. Zap! He goes ahead and throws out his own balefire, and it seems to end the balefire attack that was coming at him. So he's hopeful. Maybe I got Rahvin. But alas, nope. Rahvin, when he gets to where the balefire had come from, he can see somehow the Forsaken ducked away again, but this time using a gateway. And he recognizes the weave of this gateway, not the one for skimming, like he used to come to Caemlyn, and not the one for traveling, which he's familiar with as well now. But this one, he's seen it somewhere else. He has used it somewhere else. Do you remember where he used this particular weave that he saw Rahvin do?
The time that we can for sure say he specifically used this weave would have been down in the Stone of Tyr, I believe. There'd been a confrontation, there'd been one Forsaken, and then there was another Forsaken, and then he ran away, and so Rand had to follow, and so Rand followed after Ballsy, but going, hey, I could do that too. And it was this thing.
Yes. And we'll see it's exactly the same thing when Rand copies the weave, because he opens a gateway to apparently the same place. I mean, he looks in and he's seeing still the same room, the same interior here in the Palace of Camelin. And that's what happened back at the Stone of Tyr, too. He stepped into the Stone of Tyr.
Yeah, it actually
Except-
moves you like an inch. Just an inch.
There is a key difference. When he gets to this other place, there's no life. It's like a pale reflection of the place. Where the candles, the torches are burning. There's no torches. I mean, there are torches, but they're not burning in this place. And yet there's still light that seems to have no source. It's little different.
To say that this is not a dead place, though. It's not like it's no life in the terms of like, oh, it's desiccated and awful. And no, it's just empty.
Yeah. It actually does have some life right there and then, because Rand and a fly stepped through the gate. The book mentions that, and a fly came in.
Does it ever mention the fly again?
I think the fly dies in the
if it doesn't, the fly gets stuck here forever.
Now, Rand doesn't know where this is. Again, he recognizes the weave. He knows he's done this sort of thing before. But we should recognize where he's at. Where is he, Zach?
He's in the dream. Capital. The dream. Teleron Riyadh.
Yes. It becomes much clearer just a little later in the chapter. We'll get to that. Now, it strikes Rand at this point, as he's in this new place, looking around for where Rahvin might be, that he hasn't heard Lews Therin's voice in his head anymore. Not since he used Balefire. And that's a good thing. Rand's thinking, that's a good thing.
Is it?
No, I would say it is. Because, it indicates something about Rand's mental state. If he can recognize it's just me again, and by me, he's saying Rand, he's a little more better mental state now?
On the one hand, maybe. On the other hand, if your mental state believes you still have like this voice of some other guy in your head and he just shut up, did you become more sane, or did you scare the voice inside your head so much that it shut up?
Wow, that's kind of scary.
Exactly. So it could go either way.
Now, Rand then notices something very strange. He's starting to fade away. What the heck? I mean, it feels a little odd. He looks at his arm. He can see through his arm.
That's not good.
And he's like, what is going on? But then he hears a voice in his head again. No! Again, inside his voice, not through his ears. And it's followed up with, I am Lews Therin. And then he cuts the voice off. And he says, I am Rand al'Thor. He thinks it. So he's arguing with voices in his head with his own voice in his head.
It's almost like this place responds to the things you think about yourself and identity.
So looking at himself, Rand had started to change appearance to look like another person who Rand concludes is Lews Therin. But he reinforces his own self-image, kind of picturing what he looks like to himself in a mirror, thinking, I am Rand al'Thor. I am Rand al'Thor.
Suddenly he's There's no place like tall home. And super fit, like 16-pack, just ripped.
That's how he sees himself, huh?
Yeah. Apparently.
And as he does this, as he firms this up in his head, he changes back, clearly in appearance, to look like his own image. He doesn't see through himself anymore. And at this point, he realizes what really happened. For a moment, he thinks, why did Lews Therin just try to take over? He's like, no. I was just attacked by Rahvin.
Mm-hmm.
He literally just tried to unmake me. And so what was that Lews Therin business about? What does Rand conclude?
See, that wasn't necessarily the attack. That was the creepy voice inside my head that seems to know things that it shouldn't. Recognizing this is an attack by Rahvin, I'm going to defend against it. Luckily, it showed me how to defend against it, even though I thought I was defending against the voice inside my head. It worked.
Right. That Lews Therin personality did what you do when you're attacked like that. It was just reflex. It wasn't personal at Rand. And like you said, it showed Rand what to do. So he survived that attack. Now he realizes, okay, Rahvin just attacked me, but that was not with the one power.
No.
That was something to do with this place, which tells me there are rules to this place that I don't necessarily understand. That might not be a
Correct.
good thing. If he could have done that to him back in the real Camelin, he would have done it, because that was a scary thing, man. And he didn't do it there. So it must be just something about this place. So, okay, I can't do things here that he maybe knows how to do, but thankfully I can do stuff I do know. He realizes he does still have access to the power. And he's got his little fat man Buddha with him. So he knows he's got a lot of access to power here. If he can just manage to harness it at the right time and the right way at Rahvin, he should be able to beat him.
Mm-hmm.
So he right there goes ahead and attacks. From down in this inner garden where he's standing, he causes lightning bolts all at the same time pretty much to strike every window and balcony hanging over the garden. Just kaboom.
Yeah, he's like,
What's he thinking?
Look, I don't know where this guy is, but if I set off a bomb, it'll probably hit him. Because look, if he could do this to me, he probably had to look at me, right? He's got to target it. He's got to aim. So if he's got to aim, I can hit him.
That's right.
He didn't hit him.
Nope. I mean, maybe he hit him. He's not sure at first.
He did,
but he's going to have to hunt. He's going to look. And yeah, we'll have confirmation very shortly. Nope, you missed again, you stormtrooper.
It's just a nice little nana and a boo boo moment. Rahvin's playing with him a little bit.
Stormtrooper, total tangent here. I saw a cute little video recently that the stormtroopers finally got better health insurance, including a vision plan, and it changes the whole thing. Now they can actually see.
Did
Different
they get
movie
better
series
for it, or
that same gear, but now they had proper lenses? So yeah, they win.
Yeah, it'll change things for you.
Okay, we shift POVs now over to Nynaeve. Now, in the last chapter where we left off in the last episode, Nynaeve has Moghedien collared with an Adam and is dragging her through Teleron Riyadh to Camelin, because she learned from Moghedien something's happening here between Rand and Rahvin. So here they are, and trying not to die, because the two of them have nearly been listed amongst that collateral damage we talked about before. There's a battle going on. Rand and Rahvin running around the palace. They're trying to get close enough to see what's happening and to help Rand. Moghedien's terrified and continuing to demand, urge, beg that Nynaeve let them leave, because, I mean, she's really terrified that this is Rand and Rahvin, and they are here in the flesh.
Look, she is one for subtle machinations, not for flinging balefire in Teleron Riyadh. If Rand or Rahvin wanted to fight her in a direct confrontation, she's a spider. She gets squished.
Because Nynaeve is connected to her with that Adam, she can truly sense her thoughts, her emotions. And so she knows Moghedien is not just making up crap. She is literally terrified right now. What is it that is so scary about them being here in the dream in the flesh?
It's not just that male channelers are more powerful. It's not always true, but generally speaking, the power cap, that ceiling, is higher. But it's not that. And it's not just that, they're willing to do these terrifying displays of power and risks. That's also scary, but it's not that either. It's the fact that Nynaeve and Moghedien, they're here like you're supposed to be here. They're dreaming here. Rahvin and Rand walked in physically. They are fully here, not just dreaming themselves here. We've heard talked about before, being in Teleron Riyadh in the flesh. It's been talked about as a bad thing.
Forbidden.
possibly evil. But the explanation of what exactly it would mean has never fully been spelled out. We're at least being shown here. It means they're more powerful, at least here and now.
Yeah. Nynaeve is not worried like Moghedien is. She's like, okay, they're here in the flesh. I'm here in the dream. I have all the powers of a dream walker right now. She thinks she has the advantage. Moghedien's like, you don't get it. And she can't really explain it well enough to her, but she's saying these two are so powerful here in the flesh that if they see us, we're dead meat. And we can't even channel as the two of us the way this is right now. You're channeling my power through this necklace bracelet thing. You can't even touch your own strength. We're like half powered right now. We need to run away. Now, Nynaeve's not hearing any of it. Nope. So Moghedien digs in her heels. She basically says, I'm not going any further. I don't care what you will do for me. If you think dying from Rahvin and Rand is worse than you punishing me, you're out of your mind. Go ahead, do your darndest. I am not moving another muscle. Now, Nynaeve had done some things before, like using the nettle trick, making her feel like she's being pricked by nettles all over. And Moghedien didn't like that and all, but that's not going to work anymore. So Nynaeve is going to have to show what she's truly capable of. Because she's like, if I have to drag her around, that you can't sneak real well. And I'm not going to be able to move real fast. I need her compliant. So what do I do? She has a fleeting thought of, the way Moghedien treated Nynaeve and Elaine in Tanchico with compulsion. And, then they loved her and would do anything she wanted. It's like, no, I'm not going to try to do that.
No, that's too icky. Instead, I'll just beat her. Because that's better.
She's going to break her spirit and force compliance by...
I like the idea is like, emotional manipulation? No, that's evil. Spanking her physically hard, or at least making her think that?
Yeah, she doesn't actually spank her.
Like, until she... Okay, no. If you are doing something through the Adam so that it is perceived, it's being done. She spanks her.
Doesn't leave any marks.
Doesn't matter. It still leaves the trauma.
There you go. Because that's exactly what she does. She uses the power... Moghedien's power. So Moghedien basically does this to herself. Gags herself with air, forces her arms up against her. She's just like standing straight like a pencil, and then uses the power of the Adam to make it like a belt strap is being whacked onto her tush. And, Moghedien's like, but can't scream. She's gagged. And Nynaeve just turns this on repeat. And she tells her, nod when you've had enough.
Yeah, it's like,
problem is,
I attached the belt to one of those things in the car wash that just spins over and over, and I tied you next to it. It's just going to keep going.
And that's fine, except that Nynaeve's mind wanders while waiting for Moghedien to have enough. And she thinks back to a past memory, and the next thing she knows to kind of checks on Moghedien again. And she's nodding her head like a bobble doll, and there's tears just falling down. She's like had enough for a while.
You got to imagine, it didn't start like that. It started with just like a little bit, finally giving in, and yeah.
So, Nynaeve actually, for just the fleetingest moment, feels a little bad. Like,
good.
I might have overdone it.
Maybe you should feel bad about abusing someone, even if they are, like, evil.
Nevertheless, Moghedien is thoroughly ready to cooperate now. And that's good, because they hear and feel an explosion and vast amounts of the power being wielded nearby. It's time to chase after those men again. So let's jump back to Rand, who continues to chase Rahvin. And we see him come into another courtyard where he runs into a whole bunch more power traps, like the air turns into the thickness of water, and he's suddenly drowning in midair, and he has to figure out ways to use the power to counteract the things that are being done. But as he's counteracting them, Rahvin's doing other things. And it's like Rand is really getting beat up through this process.
Yeah.
Now, Nynaeve can kind of hear the stuff that's happening down below, and somebody is up above because she'd heard boots, climbing, running upstairs and stuff. So she's following those steps. She's making the guess the one below is Rand. The other, Rahvin, must be up ahead. She's pulling Moghedien along behind her. And she almost gets killed by a strike that comes from down below, from Rand. It's like, she's like, okay, if I can get close enough to Rahvin without Rand killing me, that would be a good thing.
Yeah, maybe don't do friendly fire. Rand, it's not his fault. He doesn't know.
Finally,
he's just trying to survive.
He's just trying to survive. In one of the highest parts of the castle, like top floor, can't go any higher. Looking over out of a balcony, she sees Rahvin. And he's totally focused out this balcony window, doing something to whoever's down below, which, again, she assumes is Rand, though she's never actually laid her eyes on him yet. She is full of Saidar, sucked through Moghedien. So Nynaeve, before Rahvin can notice her, takes her shot and just completely fills this hallway, ceiling to floor, wall to window, with flame. It's a blast furnace all of a sudden. Yeah. The flame goes shooting out the balcony window. And for just a moment, well,
I didn't get that.
Tell
Thanks,
me
Siri.
Siri didn't get that. So tell Siri what happens when she does this.
Well, you see, Rahvin thought he was fighting against Rand. He didn't know Nynaeve and Moghedien were coming up. So he wasn't really expecting to get his ass lit up. He did. And it doesn't last that long. He quickly gets his bearing and surrounds himself with a bubble of air. He's fine. But it hurts a lot.
For a moment, he screamed. And his face is just a burn scar now. One eye is all milky. His clothes are literally smoking from having been on fire for just a moment.
Because he wasn't lit on fire, he was suddenly thrust into a furnace. It's not just hot.
Could we say
it's very hot?
She was gaslighting him?
No, but she did definitely roast him.
Okay. Unfortunately, even though the flames are still everywhere, as you said, he's created this little bubble of clean air around himself. He's no longer being hurt, and he's looking right at her now. Even with the one bad eye. Doesn't matter.
Which
he's glaring at her.
Yeah, not good for Nynaeve. That being said, if there's a big area of fire, it's really obvious. And if there's a really clear spot in the middle of that fire, it's really obvious.
Which would be very helpful. Very helpful in a second. But before anything else happens, all we have is Moghedien basically collapsing to the ground, going, yeah, we're going to die.
Yep.
Nynaeve can feel it. She's completely given up. Oh, crap. But as you said, down below, Rand, who was on their constant attack, suddenly the attacks disappeared. And he's like, whoa, what happened? And looking up, sees all those flames, sees a little void. He sees a shape up there. It's unrecognizable, this shape. It doesn't look like Rahvin.
No.
Because it looks like a crispy marshmallow man. But it's the right size. And Rahvin, well, he discovers that Rand takes advantage of that moment and shoots a beam of balefire larger, wider than the size of a man. I mean, just this massive
How
beam.
big do you think that is? Are we talking like...
I'm thinking 7, 8 feet wide.
Shoulder, or like...
No, I think it's up and down
laying
wise.
down. I could never figure out the way it's
I kind of picture this thing being 7 to 8 feet wide. This is a massive beam.
I like that interpretation, because I was always like, is it really that big? If it's like shoulder to shoulder, that's like what, 2 feet?
Yeah, no, I'm going
Maybe 3
I'm
on some
going
really
mega
big.
cannon, man. This thing just, and when it hits him, he just ceases to exist.
Oh, he's gone.
Poof. I mean, Nynaeve sees it happen, and it's weird. I mean, she sees this big thing come up, and the moment it touches him, he's just totally gone.
He's
There's
not
nothing. You don't see an
disintegrated.
explosion.
He's
You
not
don't see a
destroyed.
fadeaway. He's just
He's
gone.
undone.
Like he was never there.
Unmade.
Yeah.
Now,
Instant.
this is a moment that I want to highlight, because I think in all of these 14, 15 books, we talk about a lot of big moments and a lot of things Rand does, things people help Rand do. This is one I don't think gets a lot of focus. Rand would have died here. Hands down. He was so outclassed.
Only because of lack of experience.
Oh, yeah, no, it's not a power thing. No, but he willfully followed Rahvin into this and was completely outclassed in this element. He has no idea what he's doing. He's getting a bunch of things thrown at him that he doesn't know how to handle. He would have died.
The wheel weaves as the wheel wills.
Yeah, so instead, Nynaeve comes in clutch with the fairy fire of all time, giving advantage to Rand's balefire, and it's a happy story.
So Nynaeve, when she sees this happen, everything goes still, and then she feels this tremendous flood of relief through the Adam from Moghedien, who's on the ground trembling and weeping, clearly, we're okay, kind of thing. And then she hears Boots rushing up the stairs and turns to see Rand climbing into sight. And is he ever a sight? Because the damage he was taking down below is very apparent all over him. But she sees other differences about him too. When was the last time that Nynaeve actually saw Rand?
Tyr?
Yeah. When he sent, well, he didn't send. They went on a Black Aja witch hunt. He sent Julin along.
Yeah.
Moraine sent Lan along.
Rand
sent Julin along.
Try again. Moraine sent Tom.
What did I say?
That she sent Lan, which is factually incorrect.
Oh, that doesn't work. Tom, good old Tom. Yes. Anyways, that's the last time. So it's been months and months and months. She's like, wow, he looks so hard. His eyes, they're so cold.
Innuendo or
no, goodness, we are not that kind of podcast. I did set you up for that, though, didn't I?
It was
made that too easy,
right there.
Really too easy. Rand, you're so hard. Ay. Okay.
There's a fanfic for that, right?
In a moment's quick thought, however, Nynaeve makes that leash connecting her to Moghedien disappear. Because she's sure Rand would recognize what that is. And doesn't want that to become a conversation piece. Let's just keep this a little secret right now. And Elaine had previously told them that as she was working with an Adam, experimenting, that the leash was decoration.
Yeah,
it really wasn't necessary.
Doesn't get rid of the collar and bracelet. She gets rid of the leash that physically connects the two.
Yes. And she can still sense Moghedien when she makes that leash go away. But she also is slightly, holy crap, what did I just do? Because they'd never actually tried that. That was Elaine's theory. Her belief based on checking out the Adam. What if Elaine had been wrong?
As much as you don't want to give that message to Rand, you also don't want to loose a Forsaken on him. I guess she is kind of sobbing on the ground. It's probably okay.
Probably. Rand comments that he thought it might have been her up here or someone else, but he doesn't say the name. Who do you think he thought might have also been up here instead?
There's a couple of options. Some of them are good and some of them are not so much. But we could be pretty sure he did not think it was Moraine or Lanfear, considering they took a tumble through a doorway.
Yeah, they pieced out already. So
had they not done that, both of them would have been good options. Now, beyond that, it wouldn't be wild to think if he suspected Nynaeve potentially. Elaine also, same possibility. But more likely, he was probably thinking about Egwene, who couldn't come along physically, but maybe she woke up from where she was injured and went back to sleep and tried to come along this way.
I'm thinking, and again, we're speculating here. There's nothing ever that conclusively shares what Rand was thinking here at this moment. I think he was thinking it was either Nynaeve or Elaine. And he's actually probably glad it's a Nynaeve and not Elaine.
There's definitely
because
not
of what
having
he goes
to
on
explain,
to say.
hey, I think Morghese is dead.
Yeah.
That would have sucked.
Rand does ask then if this is where Nynaeve meets with Egwene, this place, this thing. And Nynaeve doesn't want to answer that question. So she just diverts him by sharing what you're doing, being here in the flesh. Dude, it's dangerous. It's even evil, according to the wise ones. His response, it's basically ambivalent. It's like, oh, so they know everything, huh? I used to think the Aes Sedai knew everything. What do you think, Zach? Is it evil for Rand to be here in the flesh? Is this truly dangerous to him? Or is it just an admonition the wise ones are holding?
On the one hand, for a reason that I can't talk about for another like 10 books. No. However, there are certainly risks, and it is bad, and it does say something that the only person that Rand has seen do this and has learned from have been multiple Forsaken. So maybe the weave to get in here is something kind of twisted and of the dark. Maybe it is an evil thing to physically come here in the flesh, at least the way he is.
Tall, Dark, and Discord agrees. Dangerous, yes. Evil, no. But I'm saying it could certainly be used for evil. Probably better people aren't here in the flesh. But Rand, he's like, I'm the Dragon Reborn. I'm going to do what I got to do, basically. Nynaeve does offer to heal Rand, because as I said, he's a mess. He's pretty nicked up from all these things, Rahvin's attacks were doing to him. And he just, thanks. Doesn't say thanks, but he accepts it.
It's wild that he accepts it, considering he's been so anti it from so many people.
He does not like Aes Sedai doing things to him. This is different. Indicative. Yes, he and Nynaeve have a very different relationship.
They have history, and to a certain extent, Nynaeve is who he grew up for a lot of his formative years, being his healer. The person in town who healed, who did fix these things, who was a trusted, wise figure. So it makes sense that he trusts her enough to do this.
And I think also, we've seen his relationship with Egwene has been changing. She's becoming, as Rand looks at it, more Aes Sedai-ish. When he looks at Nynaeve, he doesn't see that yet. He doesn't. This is just Nynaeve.
Nynaeve has changed, but Nynaeve is also very Nynaeve and unapologetically so.
As she heals him, she notices he doesn't even flinch. Healing doesn't feel particularly comfortable. Usually you get a thing, and nope, nothing. He just stoically takes it. Again, he's become so hard.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
God dang it. Then he asks.
We got books of this, baby.
Then he asks, did you see Rahvin die? Can you confirm it? She's like, yes, it was right there. Just, he was gone.
Oh my, he dead.
Nynaeve then urges Rand, please leave this place. It's dangerous for you to be here. And he agrees to leave. But first, he says, will you please, though, speak to Elaine for me? Ask her not to hate me. Now, what's that a reference to?
It's probably still way back to the confusing letters. Or,
no, I don't think so.
More importantly, sorry, your mom's dead.
Yeah. And that he feels responsible for that.
Sorry, I may have taken the throne because I couldn't get it here soon enough to save your mom. But hey, it's probably for you, right? Because it's yours, right?
And then he tells Nynaeve, just tell Elaine to forget me. That I found something else to love. I don't have room for you in my life anymore.
So what I'm hearing is Rand went to the land schools of love.
Totally. Because he
which
follows
is
it up with,
actually true.
and he
He's
says,
been listening too much
by
to
the
Lan.
way, Nynaeve, Lan told me I should say that to Elaine, but also that I should tell you the same thing from him. He has no more room for love for you in his heart. He's found something else.
And they're both
So forget
idiots and wrong.
And she's like, Lan said to say that? What an idiot. That's kind of, yeah, in her mind. But then Rand goes through a gateway back into the real Camelin. Like Nynaeve can see through it. It's Camelin, same place, except not as damaged as this looks right now.
Bye, Rand. Okay.
And as Rand is out, Moghedien speaks up. A remarkable man. A very, very dangerous man. She's kind of more back to the Moghedien we know and hate. And she goes on then to talk further to Nynaeve. And Nynaeve is sensing, she's feeling a hopefulness coming through the link. Why is Moghedien subtly hopeful? What does Nynaeve conclude is in Moghedien's head?
To me, she's plotting, she's scheming, she thinks she's gonna maybe have a way out of this.
Yeah, because you've got me, this is in Moghedien's head, I'm sure, you've got me captive here in the world of dreams. We've got to wake up sometime. And now that the threat is over, there's nothing else to worry about. It's just a matter of time. So I'm content to bide my time. When we wake up, the Adam's power will end. I'll be free. Everything's good. Now, she's not saying that out loud, but Nynaeve is discerning this is what's going on in Moghedien's head. However, Nynaeve has a plan.
Yeah, now we get to the thing that we accidentally talked about last episode, unless you cut it out of the actually released stuff.
I did cut it out. Here it is. She summons a large silver cup of tea for Moghedien and says, drink this. And Moghedien steps back thinking, you're poisoning me? It's like,
no, don't worry.
If I wanted to kill you, you'd already be dead, okay? I could totally do that here.
It's refreshing. It's kind of minty. It's a good tea.
It's like, it's just tea. It's made from fork root. It will simply make you sleep. And she feels hope rise with Moghedien. And again, thinking, oh, you just want to put me to sleep so you can escape and I can't follow you. I understand. Of course, I get it. And down the hatch.
Yeah, except, you see, Moghedien, this fork root is apparently something that has been manufactured since you were around, because you don't know what's up with it.
Yeah, she names it. That's actually taking a chance by telling her it's fork root.
Now, granted, is it taking that much chance considering things change, including language, in 3,000 plus years?
But of course,
it is.
What do we know?
Risk.
What does Nynaeve know about fork root? The special quality it has
fork
besides
not only
making
knocks you out, it also knocks out your ability to channel for a while. It's particularly nasty of a sedative for channelers, specifically.
Yes. And, Moghedien's feeling really good right now. And clearly the effect is already starting to kick in for her. So Nynaeve takes a little pleasure at this moment. And she reveals a few key comments Moghedien had made along the way that Nynaeve has put together, saying, I know you're in Saladar. So you go ahead and go to nighty-night time, and I'll see you real soon. And Moghedien, again, a moment of terror, and she's then out. And Nynaeve releases the Adam, and blink, Moghedien leaves the world of dreams. We drop back again to Rand's POV then.
Drop back to reality. Back
to life, back to reality. Come on, that's a song. It's real.
You went way older than I did.
Well, you could have sung your thing, whatever that was.
I did. It's from Eminem's "Lose Yourself."
Oh man, it's just rap. Dang. He's
literally an award-winning song, and they're calling it just rap.
Just rap. He's moving about the palace, heading back towards the courtyard where they first skimmed in. As he's going, he kind of notes, he's not really looking carefully, but there doesn't seem to be as much damage around now. He was sure that he and Rahvin had ripped this place up more, but maybe not. Returning to the courtyard, there's a battle underway. There's still Trolloc and Myrddraal around, and a bunch of Aiel are fighting them. And he's like, okay, I need to help. And he judiciously uses little itty bitty zips of balefire at the various Myrddraal that are around. Now, why the Myrddraal, and why is he so careful with itty bitty balefires?
One, hive mind tendency. If Shadowspawn are really linked and quite right, and like Myrddraal are exerting finer finesse control, they kind of life link. And if you take out a Myrddraal, you can take out all the Trollocs, or at least discombobulate them.
They just kind of
kill them.
Yeah.
It makes it real easy
They short
to just
circuit.
It's kind of like, hey, they're all on the same radio channel, and you crushed a radio and gave a whole bunch of feedback to all of the others. Now, itty bitty balefire, 2 reasons. One, he doesn't want to hit something he's not aiming at. 2, Rand just dropped the mother of all balefires. He would like to not destroy reality. That would be a good thing.
But we did certainly, and Rand certainly is aware of the habit of balefire to go not just to hit something, but to go right through it and keep going. And the stronger the beam, the farther it goes. He doesn't. Yeah, no friendly fire again, please.
He's like, no. We can just like laser tag these guys.
That's right. That's right. Now, it's very effective. Trollocs are falling and scrambling, and others who clearly weren't linked to the Myrddraal are just running off when they're clearly now outnumbered. And as they scatter, Rand sees something he practically can't believe. Aviendha, Mat, Asmodean, they're all there in the middle of things fighting Trollocs.
Well,
they were. The Trollocs are running away now.
You were there, and you were there.
No place like home. Runs on up and grabs Aviendha in a bear hug and literally swings around in a circle. Her legs are wee.
Yeah, that's going to do wonders for the rumors.
But she's actually okay with it. She doesn't get on his case, and he doesn't want to let go of her, but he does because, and Mat, you too. And he goes to grab Mat and is like, hey, dude, bro code, man. What's up here?
I've got a big stick that's pointy. Don't get too close.
He's like, you're acting like we were dead or something.
You were.
Rand doesn't say that.
No.
What he does say is, I'm just so overjoyed to see you all. And Aviendha at that point is like, yeah, like what happened? You were here with us and then you weren't. And he doesn't explain that other than to say, I had to go kill Rahvin. And he's dead now. He's dead, Mat. Okay.
He's very dead.
So, what happened here? Rand realizes what happened. Explain it for us.
He used strong enough balefire that he burnt out Rahvin's thread backwards through time and the pattern enough that the things he had done way back a couple minutes ago, including killing Aviendha, Mat, and Asmodean, didn't happen.
Never happened.
Rather, they did happen. Notably, it is actually important to mention they did happen.
It happened.
And then unhappened.
Yes.
It's semantics, but it's important.
This is one of the massive dangers of balefire. This is what we learned books ago, why they don't use it, because now everything that anyone else had done or wasn't going to do during that time all rolls back.
Yeah. Look,
but for everybody else, life is normal. And it makes the pattern very messy.
The ramifications of retconning in any story get harder and harder to really grasp.
This is
when you go further
retconning.
Back into the lore. If you go further back, man. It's just a mess. Yes. And if you try to implement balefire as a mechanic into any game that you play, it takes a lot of work to straighten out.
So, not all. Okay, what was done with the lightning strikes that Rahvin sent down? It's gone. However, there are still plenty of dead people around because not everyone died from that. Like poor Pevin, the one that had been the banner holder, he's dead. Trolloc killed him. You know, those who died in the fighting, they're still dead. But the ones who are most important to him, Aviendha, Mat, and Asmodean, they're all still fine. Rand gives orders to the Aiel in particular. Follow after those Trollocs and Myrddraal. We don't want any others out there still safe, still wreaking havoc. Get them all. And others of you, find the guards here in the castle. I guess the King's Guard now. You know, find them, keep your eye on them. I'm going to have to sort out which ones were Rahvin's men versus which ones were bad. That's going to end up being easier than one might think.
Don't worry, it's probably easier to just like snicker snack most of them.
But that's for later. Just keep an eye on them for now. And that's the end of the chapter. That was a really long chapter. That took us a full hour.
Meaty.
But it's made up for by the next chapter, the final of the book, that's only 6 pages long. So, chapter 56, Glowing Embers. We don't have a lot to note from the events of this chapter, because again, there's not much that happens. But the few things that happen are huge in significance for the rest of the story. We start with Rand. He's up in the throne room. I don't know if it's the throne room. He's up somewhere in the castle. I don't think it's the throne room. He's looking down over an inner courtyard where Mat, Aviendha, Asmodean are just kind of chillaxing now. He's watching them from above. It's a spot where they can't actually see that he's looking. And he's just wondering, do they remember at all what happened and then unhappened?
So what I'm hearing is he's lurking and pondering.
Yeah, I mean, they shouldn't remember because for them it never happened. But then he's thinking Asmodean, you know, as a Forsaken, maybe he would know.
And this is where we get a little bit funky because it's not so much that for them it never happened, but rather it did and then didn't. And I mean, Mat remembers things that never happened to him. Though Rand maybe only suspects some of that.
Rand's attention is pulled back into where he's at now because a soldierish guy, an important soldierish guy, comes walking into the room and introduces himself as Davram Bashir, the general of Saldea.
I wonder where we've heard that name before.
He arrives to meet with the Dragon Reborn. He said, sorry, no one could announce me. I didn't see anyone around who does that sort of thing, so I figure I'd just come introduce myself. And he explains, I'd originally come to Caemlyn to meet with Queen Morghese, only to find she was no longer around. And then I was put off by the toadies of King Gabriel. But now I understand he may be off the board. And you're in charge now. So here I am to talk to you. And Rand, he's blunt. He's uncompromising. He's like, yep, I'm in charge. Gabriel's dead. Morghese, she's dead because he killed her first. Then I killed him. So, yeah, what you got? And Bashir explains, well, I'm here with just a small retinue, but I got 9,000 troops waiting just north of the border. I didn't presume to bring them into Andoran land here. I wanted to come have permission first because Masrum Taim is in Andor. We are sure of it. The false dragon from Saldea, the Aes Sedai let him escape those doofuses. And so we are here to deal with it, to take care of him, to set things right. And Rand's like,
about that.
I wasn't really ready to share this plan so soon, but I guess now is the time. He says, yeah, you can't have time. Here's the deal. I'm the Dragon Reborn. I can channel. And I'm supposed to channel. The last battle is coming. I don't think men who can channel should be punished for it when I'm here intentionally going to channel for the good of all mankind. So I'm announcing an amnesty.
Yeah. It's kind of super hypocritical to be like, hey, this is horrible. We need to prevent them from channeling and or kill them, all of them, except for this one guy, because we need him to save the world. But everyone else is awful. That's kind of really hypocritical.
Right. So any man who can channel is now invited to come to me. And if he's willing to fight for me, for the cause of the light, to prepare to resist the forces of dark at the last battle, he has my protection. Let's do it. Because back in the Trolloc Wars, when all those shadow spawn came pouring out of the Blight, they had men who could channel, who were with them, and it was disastrous for us. We are going to be ready this time. We are going to be ready. So anyone can have this amnesty, including Taim. He's mine. So Bashir's like, okay then. So I guess you have plans. I guess you now rule Andor. We've heard you're in charge of Tyr, possibly Camelin as well. Is this your plan then, just to take over everything and force everyone to follow you? Rand's like, we do need to be united to face the coming last battle. And I mean to see that happen. And not just the last battle. Have you heard of the Shanchen? They're real. Yeah. They're out there.
They're not.
We need to be united
forever
to deal with them as well when they return. But
Rand
I don't need to
come out to say he's gonna be an emperor and take over the world.
That's right. He said, I'd be more than happy to work with any country that just wants to support me and be part of this. So far, all I've found are a bunch of political douchebags who will not cooperate.
And to be blunt, most of what he's found have been nations run by Forsaken. So, like, no, he's not going to work with them.
So, he says, what do you think, Bashir? Will Saldea come to my side? And Bashir's like, up in the Borderlands, we all know the Koreathon cycle. We've read the prophecies of the dragon. I am certain, I can't speak for all the other Borderlands, but Saldea, Queen Tenobia, I'm sure she'll come over to your side in time. But I can't speak for her. I'm just the general of her army. I'm not in charge of her. What I can tell you is I will support you, and my 9,000 Saldean horse, we're here to help.
I like to think that, like, a Borderlands nursery has, like, Where the Wild Things Are, Goodnight Moon, and the Koreathon cycle, like, all next to each other. It's just your staples for the first things read to you,
It's also got to be full of hobby horses.
Now, I do think it is important for us to not brush by with just the snarky comment I made, because we do know this person, at least by name and reputation. Devin Bashir is not a stranger to us. We have had this said before. Because Fail's name is not Fail, and she explained this to Perrin last book. This is her dad.
Fail Bashir? Davram Bashir. Absolutely. He's the general of Saldea. And now he's the general of Rand's army of 9,000 horse soldiers. Cool.
9,000 Saldean horse soldiers. They're still Saldeans. They don't leave that loyalty just to be Rand's.
That's true. Tall Dark in Discord pointed out Taviran. This could have been, little Taviran tugging that just kind of flips Davram to be Rand's man. Could be. Because, he doesn't have permission for this. He could get in trouble for this. Doesn't matter. He's just all in. We switch POVs here to Asmodean.
Yay!
Now, Asmodean, Rand was looking down below, and he was down in that courtyard, and he was playing on his little lyre or harp or
he is a lyre.
Guitar or whatever he had. And we see him leaving that little inner courtyard because, I like to make music, but it's nice when there's an audience that cares. Matt, Avienda, they really don't care about my music right now. So I'm going to see if I can find some wine. And wandering through the castle in search of a pantry, a storage area where he might find wine, we see his thoughts. And he's pondering over what just happened to him because he has deciphered what happened based on comments of others who were around. Remember, what was undone, unkilled, doesn't affect the others who hadn't been blasted out by lightning bolts. They saw what they saw. And then they saw that wasn't the case anymore. Now that's confusing for everybody, but they still remember seeing them die. But they're clearly not dead. And he's like, Rand undid that. Okay, so I was dead. I've been brought back. I wonder if that makes me a new man. Am I free from my past? Nah, I don't think so. And one of the ways he knows that is as he's thinking to himself, he references the Great Lord. And that's what Forsaken call the Dark One, the Great Lord.
Is that a magical he's forced to call him that way? No. That's internally he still is viewing it and wording it that way. It's a hard habit to break.
Yeah. Oh, I want to sing so bad right now, but I'm not going to.
I know you do.
Still, Rand, he's going to cling to Rand, though, okay? Because he's still screwed when it comes to the Dark One, the other Forsaken. So it's nice to see some of them going down.
Yeah.
Rahvin's gone. Sweet. He's even happier that Lanfear was taken out earlier.
He for sure knew what was up.
Why is he particularly happy that Lanfear's been taken out?
He also blames Lanfear for his current predicament. Rightfully so.
She's the one that stuck him like this. Absolutely. So again, he's wandering. He sees a small door into what maybe is a little pantry or storage area, and it opens it and does not find what he thought he'd see. The blood drains from his face.
Food?
He has time for, you? No! And then death takes him, is what the book says.
Well, that's descriptive. Anything else, Robert Jordan? No?
Nope.
Are you going to tell us? No?
Nope. This was controversial for years. And we're not going to talk about it yet.
Just know, first-time readers, the answer is not on the next page.
Robert Jordan's like, the clues are all there. You know who did it. People were like, no, what? Who did that? Okay. Asmodean's dead. The final point of view takes us somewhere outside of Caemlyn to someone Rand and party believed to be dead. Morghese. Now she's traveling through the next country over, Altara. And sorry, I just saw in Discord that Tall Dark doesn't know who killed Asmodean. That could be good in a moment. Okay. So Morghese is traveling in Altara now. Now remind us who she fled Caemlyn with.
A number of people. It was the old maid, Linny, who had more or less raised her, and Elaine. The innkeeper, good old Basil Gill, old friend of Tom's, also a great Queensman. Lamgwin the himbo. Brienne, the ex-noble from Kyrian, who's been shacking up with Lamgwin.
Yep.
And good old Talonvor.
Young Talonvor. Yes. Now, they originally, as a party, went to Core Springs.
Radiator Springs.
Where Gareth Bryn lives, and found him gone. Morghese was like ready to come and apologize and reconnect with her captain-at-arms, and that's a no-go. So then they wandered through Andor a bit, trying to see if they could get help anywhere else, basically with the goal of toppling Lord Gabriel.
They were going door to door and said, hi, do you want to help restore the rightful Queen of Andor?
They didn't point out, I'm the rightful Queen of Andor. No, just kind of planting seeds, making suggestions. But what they ran into everywhere...
It's a bad growing season. None of their seeds were taking fruit.
None at all. Because they'd heard about the chaos in Caemlyn. They'd heard about Queen Morghese capriciously dismissing nobles and unjust laws and basically being every horrible thing a ruler can do, but shouldn't. And they really have no interest in rising up to help this lady. It's like, okay, I've burned too many bridges in Andor, even though it's not my fault.
It's not your fault, but it's still your action. So it's not your fault. It's still your responsibility.
This leads her to come up with a new plan. She needs allies. She's got to get help, and it's not going to come from within in Andor. So they're crossing through Altara, which has no significant power at all, over to Amadicia. Why? Remind us what power exists in Amadicia she might be chasing after.
A power that also really doesn't like her, so it's really interesting that she's thinking this is the route to go. It's the White Cloaks.
Now, there is a king of Amadicia.
No,
probably talk to him.
That's not the power in Amadicia. There is a king. It's not the power in Amadicia.
We know Morghese has not been on good terms with the White Cloaks. She tolerated them.
They literally were trying to sow civil unrest and have her overthrown.
Yeah.
Granted, it was because of her involvement with the White Tower, which she then subsequently kind of threw down the river.
Maybe they can work something out now. A little side humor is noted in here. Morghese is clearly attracted to Talon Vor.
He's an attractive dude.
He has nicely turned calves. But she refuses to acknowledge her feelings of attraction, will not give in to any temptations, keeps calling him young Talon Vor to emphasize he's just this, he's too young for me. Nothing is going to happen
he's
here.
Younger than you, but the older you both get, the less the age gap really matters.
Now, Linny sees this going on, and she's like, woman, get over it. There's a great line. She says, there's no point letting honey age too long before you eat it.
Yeah, Linny's 100% a cougar. She was upset that all of Gabriel's men were being brought in as guards because it was taking all the good guards away.
All her boy toys.
She had them all wrapped around her finger.
That's the end of the chapter. That's the end of our main comment for this episode. So at this point, this is where we invite those of you who are first-time readers who have not been all the way through the series. This is when you leave, because Zach and I are going to go on to spoil, and I'm talking major spoil, a couple of things from this episode.
Correct. So
if you've read the whole series, stick around. This is going to be fun. But if you don't want something spoiled, again, your first time reader, even if you're on book 12, book 13, we still might ruin something for you if you stick around past this point. We're going to enter into, well, I should just hit it.
The spoiler room.
There it is.
The spoiler room.
Learned how to do it right, and he still did it twice.
Yeah, hit the wrong spot. All right, so to find out who's going to go first, because I know what I want to spoil, so hopefully it's me, but both things are good today, so
I'll probably give you what I think you're going for.
I've got my colorful die here. Okay, here we go. What is that? That's a...
I don't care, you're going first.
Man, I can't read it. It's a 9.
It beats by 1.
Ha! Totally beats the 1. Okay. So I get to go first. And what I want to spoil is simply... See, there's two big ones here that I could do. Of course, I could talk about who killed Asmodean.
I thought you were going to.
That's what I'm inclined to talk about. But there's also this bit about the ramifications of the Balefire.
That's my low-hanging fruit that I'm going for.
You're going to talk about that. Okay, I wanted both to get talked about. So as long as you're going to talk about that one, I'll talk about Asmodean. So Robert Jordan was so full of crap when he said, oh, everything's there, the clues are all there, you can tell who killed Asmodean. You can't tell who kills Asmodean here.
No.
But when you put this together with the next book, the prologue of the next book lays it out extremely clear. You just have to connect the dots. But we're going to come to find out that shortly before this whole thing took place, there was a meeting of Forsaken here in the Caemlyn Palace. And they're still around at this point. As, Rahvin's off the board, they're talking about where do things go? What do we do now? And Asmodean stumbles upon either the whole meeting or just one of them. It only matters that one of them in particular kills him, and that's the Forsaken Grendel. Grendel snuffs him out. Poof. And even when you read the whole series, it's easy to miss it.
It's very easy to miss it. It's one of those things where I was like, really? The pieces are there? I see it. I know it. If I hadn't been told it, I don't know if I would have picked it up.
Now, he was a marked man because he had turned on the Dark One. He's on the hit list now. So the moment someone has a chance, they do take him out. But Grendel in particular, she's eager to take out every last one of the Forsaken because she wants to be Nabliss. She wants to be the one above all, and that's only going to happen for her if she's managed to clear the board.
The easiest way to be
easy pickings.
First choice is to be the only choice.
Exactly. So there
Simple
you go.
Math.
That's my spoil. And Asmodean is killed with balefire. How do we know that? He never comes back. There's never anything. He's gone.
Don't necessarily agree with that statement.
Oh, I 100%. I do that because otherwise the Dark One, even if it was just to torture him, to completely ruin him for eternity, he would have brought him back.
I have my personal, we've talked about it with Rob before. I've talked about it on here a little bit before. I'm going to briefly talk about it as part of my spoil because at the start, I'm talking about some of the ramifications of that balefire. Asmodean wondered if this made him a new man, if this severed his ties, kind of. And he decided no, because he was still thinking of him as the Great Lord. I also am saying, no, it didn't. But we saw Rand previously chop his connection to the Dark One away completely. It's never really tested after that point. I wholeheartedly think Rand had enough power with enough of what was going on with the Choden Call and all that stuff. He split Asmodean from the Dark One. Asmodean is not brought back by the Dark One because the Dark One does not have a hold on him anymore at this moment. He's just killed. The Dark One can't bring him back to torture him because he's no longer actually claimed as a Forsaken. What made Asmodean not redeemed in his mind was because he still viewed himself as this, but if he had the time to eventually view himself as different, he might have been able to, as he was no longer tethered to that dark power. Now, that is not proven anywhere.
Yeah, it's a theory. He doesn't have a physical
also not
tie to other dark
proven.
friends.
It's also not. There are a couple of times here and there that there are things referenced of these dark tendrils that touch to someone, and it's only in like certain super moments of power that is discussed. But we specifically see Rand cut that strand that is going to Asmodeus. And whether that's Asmodeus,
really?
Rock
me on Asmodeus.
Sorry, I've been playing too much D&D in ways. Anyways, that's not actually the spoil I want to talk about.
Right.
That's just,
and we're going to agree to disagree on that one. It's fine. Go on.
One of the implications. It's my biggest headcanon, and I think it has legs to run on. The actual thing we're going to talk about is this is the moment for sure, as opposed to other moments that could have been. That means Rand no longer is the hornblower.
You
or not
Rand.
Matt is no longer the hornblower. There we go. Sorry. Matt blew the horn of Valir out in Falme. It was tied to him. He was attuned to it until he dies. Guess what? He's dead.
He just died.
He then undied, but he still died.
The died
and so even if he doesn't remember dying, it doesn't seem like it happened to him. It did happen and then unhappen, And in that time between happening and unhappening, the Horn said, I'm a free agent, baby.
And all the way to the last book of the series, everyone's thinking that Horn is locked into Matt still. And
Yeah, no
Matt's
one
thinking
really
it
on
too.
the side of good or bad really figures this out. Largely because the only people who solidly know that Matt died and came back here, either we just saw die
Asmodean.
or they're Rand.
Yeah. Yeah. Heck, if Grendel had not killed Asmodean, but instead had captured him, he could have been pumped for information. They could have discovered Matt had been killed and the Horn is available again. And they know where the Horn is. At least some of the Forsaken do.
And granted, that's not to say they know how the Horn works well enough to know that it wouldn't be tethered to him, but it would have got them thinking.
Yeah. So, good on us that no one ever decided to explore that. And it makes for a great event in that last book. Yeah. All right. That's what we have today. One massive chapter, one little chapter, and the episode comes out about the normal length.
And guess what? That's a book.
That's the end of the book. Yep. Next time we record content from the Wheel of Time, we'll be moving into book 6, Lord of Chaos.
Notably,
but before then, we're going
about wrapping up the book that we did actually just talk about a little.
Yeah, we're going to have a celebration episode. We'll get some guests on here. We're not going to tell you who yet, but we'll put it out there when we nail it down. We've already tentatively talked to some other podcasters from the community that are awesome people that we've done things with before that we want to have come on and celebrate with us and just do some goofy stuff. That'll be a live stream out there for people. And this episode will drop before that live stream happens. So if you're seeing this now and you're not Tall Dark, who's with us live today, look on our YouTube page for notification of when that live stream's happening and come have some fun with us on YouTube celebrating the awesomeness of the Wheel of Time. All right, let me run the outro. Anything else you want to say, Zach?
No, not really. I'm
you just
good.
want to point at that stuff.
I was just gonna point it. It's all over there.
That.
If you're listening instead of watching, what are you doing? Go watch. Sometimes I'll do a visual. I'm gonna commit. Next time we record, I'm gonna do a visual gag and not explain it, so that you have to go watch if you want to get the joke.
I did drop an audio announcement, by the way. We're gonna stop doing audio. YouTube is where the action's at, and if people want to just listen to audio, you can do that on YouTube. You don't have to watch; just let it play in your ears. So I've got just a few more in the bank that I'm gonna still drop on audio, and then that's gonna end because YouTube. Come watch us here, or just listen to us here. We're not offended. You can do whichever one you like, but that's it. Thanks for being with us, and everyone. We'll talk to you next time.